Hello and welcome everyone to the Gold and Silver Club end of week commodities review, where we shall be looking at the week ahead, presented by myself, Phil Carr, and Nick Kalsi at the Gold and Silver Club. Today we'll be reviewing the latest developments in the commodities markets. We'll be analysing the week's performance. The live session will be covering an overview of the commodities markets. We'll be looking at the top trades of the week. We'll cover live commentary, technical analysis, and of course we'll be answering any questions you have too. So before we get started, I'm Phil Carr, professional trader, trainer and speaker. I'm the co-founder and director of the Gold and Silver Club. I specialise in teaching people how to make money from trading the most lucrative financial markets in the world. So gold, silver, oil, natural gas, the agricultural commodities. I've trained thousands of individuals to become independent traders and successfully manage their own investment portfolio. Also responsible for the research and development of the Gold and Silver Club trademark strategies that have a proven track record of generating returns to traders, and a regular contributor to a number of financial publications and speak at numerous trading seminars, webinars and workshops. Joining me in running the Gold and Silver Club is Nick Kalsi, professional trader, investment analyst and speaker. Nick began his career within private wealth management in 2002 before making the transition into proprietary trading. Prior to co-founding the Gold and Silver Club, spent several years coaching professional fund managers and traders internationally for some of the world's top-tier hedge funds and investment banks. And through his first-hand relationship with some of the world's most successful traders, discovered the formula, mindset and tools that can give any individual the definitive edge to trade in any economy. Also regularly writes for a number of global business and financial publications, and we've appeared frequently on financial television. So that's just a bit of background on the Gold and Silver Club. We'll take a look at the gold price right now, currently trading at $1,257 an ounce here on gold at the moment, looking at the best week in nearly a year on safe haven demand for gold at the moment, as we trade at our highest level in 4 months today. So we'll take a look at the technicals just very shortly. Before we do so, we'll have a look at the top trades of the week using the Gold and Silver Club signature trading strategies. So first of all, we were looking at this just last week, prior to non-farm payroll. So if you cast your mind back to last Friday, we had a consolidation on the chart and we had a lovely breakout off the non-farm payroll later on in the afternoon. The risk on the trade was 120 points, $1,200 risk for 480 points for $4,800 profit for a 4-to-1. So a lovely trade, and we had an additional breakout just yesterday. I'll go through that very shortly too, but really a nice trade after non-farm payroll last Friday, which we've had on over the whole week. Also got a nice breakout of this pennant formation we discussed on Friday. So we finally broke out to the upside, 350 points profit on that. 150 points was the risk for a 2-to-1 on platinum. And we, of course, had a nice breakdown over the last week also on the wheat market, selling for a profit of 380 points, $3,800 profit for a risk of 120 points, $1,200 risk for a 3-to-1 on wheat. So those are just some of the top trades that we've had over the last week on the commodities. And what we'll do now, we'll go over to the technicals and we'll see how the markets are looking. If you do have any questions at all, do please put those in the chat and we'll endeavour to go through those too. Okay, good. Right, the first market we'll take a look at here at the moment is going to be the gold market. And what you want to note of the gold market at the moment is that we did finally have a resolution of this pennant formation on gold as well. So we can see here, just going out to the higher time frames, that this week we've finally had that big surge to the upside. We've broken free and we're currently sitting at 4-month highs at the moment for gold, seen very much as a safe haven this week following the volatility after Switzerland unexpectedly scrapped a cap on the franc. And there's been some huge moves, as I'm sure a lot of you are aware, on the Swiss franc yesterday. Some incredible moves, and this has had a very positive impact on gold. We saw gold shoot up yesterday. We came up to the daily high of $1,267 an ounce. In fact, gold, if you take it back to Friday the 2nd of January, from the swing low that we got up to the swing high from yesterday, we've now moved 1,000 points on gold to the upside in just 2 weeks, okay, which has been incredible. So we've had some lovely opportunities to ride these breakouts on gold, on platinum, on silver as well. Just move over to platinum now too. If we look at the platinum market, we can see where we've had a lovely breakout on platinum too. Finally had a resolution of this consolidation, broke out from this pennant. Nice 350 point move this week. It still looks like we've got a lot of further upside here on platinum. So I'd say platinum is a very good trade. We were very oversold on platinum, so we're starting to look good for more upside here. Also, if you want to move over to silver, we're starting to bottom out of this. You can see here this base that we've been forming on silver, really going back to November and December. We're getting there. Finally, we're starting to get somewhere with silver, just this base which is working out at the moment. If you go over to the much larger timeframes here, we can see that we do have a channel which silver could certainly come up to and test in the coming weeks. If we were to continue to get a breakout to the upside, we may see a move up to around the $19 per ounce level on silver if we continue. We just need to get a break above last month's highs here as well. But silver looking quite good here. Still opportunities to get into this trade because it hasn't broken out as much as some of the other metals, which is gold we're seeing as the leader at the moment, and platinum, and then we should see really silver follow suit as well. So silver, there is some potential for more upside here at the moment. We'll just move across to the other metals. We did have a bit of a pullback this week on palladium. You can see here we're just finding key support around the 765 level right now. Palladium has pulled back quite significantly. On the much larger time frames here, you'll actually see we do have a key channel which is holding at the moment on palladium. We're just coming down to retest that level. The overall you can see the overall trend at the moment still is to the upside on palladium. It can still have a retrace all the way down to about the 750 zone and still maintain its upward trending channel. So palladium definitely one to watch as we're coming towards the lower end of the channel here to see if it gets supported. We have previously found support at the lower end of the channel here, so could have some good buy opportunities here for palladium. Keep an eye on it. We need to get rejection around these key levels before we consider a buy here, but we are getting some nice support currently on palladium. Copper has had a very large sell-off over the last week, which has been influenced a lot by oil more recently. We've seen Chinese funds aggressively shorting commodities linked to the copper dive. So once again, linked to a powerful sell-off in copper this week, we have seen actually copper come all the way down to circa about 4.5-year lows in the last week. So we've, in fact, just this week, we've actually even broken down lower than that. We've come down to the biggest weekly loss since 2011 here on the copper market. So copper looking very weak, but it's really been affected a lot by the oil sell-off as well. So in terms of copper at the moment, we're not looking really to get any additional positions on this. We want to see where copper is going to start to form some support here on the larger channel. We can see huge breakdown in price just this week, and we're going to wait to see. We can see it's starting to steady out a little bit just from yesterday's move here. You've got a nice consolidation around the lower end of this channel. So we'll see how copper really fares as we go into next week. But for the time being, we'll be holding off on any copper trades, just waiting for the next play on that. In fact, what I'll do now, I'll move over to oil so you can actually see the correlation there with the oil market. Oil looking very interesting. If we go over to the March contract now with oil, we can see where we've had previous breakdowns in price. We've just continued really to follow the overall trend here in oil. Oil continues to be very weak at the moment. We'll just go over and bring out some fundamentals on that. We actually dropped over the course of this week, dropped over 10% again on oil, which has been another huge drop. If you go over to where we were sitting last week, we had a huge drop. In fact, we've come all the way down here from the weekly lows here on Brent. We've actually come down for a retest of the low of 46.38. So some incredible moves that we've seen on Brent and also WTI over the last week. You can see here the overall downward trend, which is still very much in play. We've now formed an inverse hammer again just yesterday. What we'd be looking at here for potentially is more downside. Again, just breaking through the weekly lows here and just getting a continuation. The overall downward trend here, you can see on oil, still very much intact for the time being. In fact, you can see where we just came up to test again a resistance channel just yesterday. We found rejection of this channel where traders have taken this opportunity to get back in for a short and load up for additional sells here. So we do see more downside with both WTI and Brent here in the short term as well. So oil, the trend is your friend at the moment. We're just seeing more selling pressure for the time being, which is also following through into other markets such as copper. Okay, so we'll move over now and just have a look at the grains. The grains have been great this week as well. If we move over to a market such as the Wheat market, which we were looking at last week, we've come up to a major resistance channel. This was going back to about 3 weeks ago, where we hit this major channel and we've started to sell off. This started to exacerbate really in the last week here. You can see on the daily where we've continued to ride this trend down. And it's really been nice, just a continuation. You can see here very clearly, very clear downward trend here at the moment on the wheat market. We are just going to continue to ride this as it continues to break down. So wheat looking really good for more downside. Very similar situation with the core market as well. We just had a continuation of selling to the downside. Very clear channel here as well, which the core market is following. So we will be looking for more weakness as we go into next week, potentially a rotation back up to the resistance channel, and then more selling pressure here on on corn too. But wheat really has been the star performer here for a sell short over the last week or two on the grains market, and the USDA report this week as well, providing further downside too. So we continue to see some nice pressure on the wheat markets. Soybeans as well, also significantly selling off this week. We'll just take a quick look at the US dollar index today. So if you look at the US dollar, we can see huge whipsaw on the market. Yesterday we got a really big breakout to the upside on gold, and we just hit those 1 month highs there, and beyond actually 4 month highs we hit on gold yesterday, going up to 1,267 US dollars an ounce on a huge sell-off on the US dollar. You can see a little bit of pressure coming to the upside now on the US dollar. So we go back to gold and just have a look at the intraday and just look at how we can expect this afternoon to shape out. What we'd be looking at here is potentially, we are quite overextended on gold right now, just on the week. We may get a bit of a pullback here, so we'll see whether we do get a pullback back towards previous resistance here over the course of today, and just get a little bit of a pullback. So I'd be a bit careful of taking additional longs at the moment. Gold does need to sell off a little bit now before going higher. It's just how much it will sell off prior to going higher. You can see we've actually come all the way up, and we've also hit the upper end of this resistance channel here. Very clear, okay? So this is a take profit zone for a lot of traders, and what we may see around this zone, either a consolidation before we can pop up higher, or we may just get a little bit of a sell-off here for gold, just come back and retest this previous channel before we head higher again. Okay, so that's what we'll be looking at potentially on gold here before we pick up the pace and really start to break above and get a close above the 1270 zone here. So gold's going to be definitely one in firm focus today. So do keep an eye on gold. I think it's going to be a very interesting one today. Oil, we're seeing more downside here for the close on Friday, and we'll be keeping an eye on potential for further upside here on gold, silver and platinum as we go into next week. Okay, so I'm just going to give it about 30 seconds, guys. If you've got any additional questions, do post those now whilst I just read through any additional commentary, anything which has come through, and we can answer those just before we wrap up today's session. On the SMB action and how that affected gold. So let me just run through it with you before we wrap up today's session. So I'll go through really the fundamentals on this and what happened yesterday to have such a big impact on gold and of course the Swiss franc. So gold traded near its highest level in 4 months just on Friday today, and looks set to post its biggest week in 10 months as investors sought safety from market volatility after Switzerland unexpectedly scrapped a cap on the franc. Okay, so Thursday's volatility in global markets saw investors channeling money towards gold, often seen as an alternative investment to riskier assets. So a breach of some key technical levels, of course, also pushed gold higher. We've ended up 3% higher on the week, biggest weekly jump since March last year on gold. So gold definitely the flavour of the month at the moment. Now the SMB announcement has shaken the markets a lot here. Gold's gained over 6% so far this month after 2 annual declines. The Swiss National Bank shocked financial markets yesterday by scrapping a 3-year-old cap on the franc, so sending the currency soaring against the euro and stocks plunging on fears for the export of the Swiss economy. The U-turn sent the franc nearly 30% higher against the euro in chaotic early trading. We're talking about a 4,000 point move in 15 minutes, which was unprecedented. So coming a week before the European Central Bank is expected to unveil a bond buying program to counter deflationary pressure, if Fed speculation that the quantitative easing scheme will be so big that the SNB would have struggled to defend the cap. So the Swiss move sent the most of the European shares soaring, whilst bond yields and Swiss equities tumbled. US stocks closed lower as well, making a 5th straight session of losses. Now, in terms of the repercussions of this, gold may be lifted further as the repercussions of the SMB action continue to reverberate in the markets and the portfolios, and real money managers decide how to allocate holders in light of the franc development. So these actions will likely cause more support for the gold market at the moment. So what we would expect is, potentially as we come into next week here as well, more support for gold. Now, whether we'll see a bit of a pullback and profit taking at the current levels is to be seen this afternoon. So we can see here we've got a very key zone where we may see profit taking and just fail to break out much further around the 1267 level. But if we do break above that, we could really be in for a decent move up to around between the 1280 to 1300. So it will really be important to see where gold closes today, and potentially next week we may get an initial pullback earlier part of next week before we break out higher, and really we could see a retest of between the 1275 to 1300 zone if we continue to be supported. But overall, the SMB action is supportive for gold here. Okay, fantastic. So what we'll do, guys, we'll just go back to the main presentation here. And of course, if you'd like to find out more about how to trade with the Gold and Silver Club, very simply, you can find out more about our programs, our live training room, our upcoming courses in January and February. Just go to www.jointhegoldensilverclub.com. You can also contact us on our London, New York, Sydney, or Johannesburg, or the Budapest offices. I'll leave the numbers on the screen for you there to request information on our upcoming courses and our live training rooms. If you go to our website, make sure you subscribe to our newsletter. You'll also receive information about upcoming webinars we've got talking about the gold move. So you'll get free weekly reports on precious metals, energies, agriculture, live market analysis and prices. Just go to www.thegoldensilverclub.com. We do have some upcoming webinars coming up just next week, in fact, which will be talking about the gold market. So do make sure you take advantage of those webinars and subscribe. And if you'd like to find out more information about our upcoming courses, I shall leave the details on the screen for you all there as well. Excellent. Okay, great stuff. Thanks, Adinda. Cheers, guys. Thanks, everyone. And we'll definitely see you on the next one. Good trading. Have a great weekend. And we look forward to hear from you. Thanks, guys. Bye-bye.